Welcome to the party. Jobber Nation, welcome to another episode of the Jobbertears podcast. What happened?
It's foreshadowing.
I guess that's a part of an intro. You want to introduce the show?
But that's foreshadowing for what we have in store.
Too funny. As always, I'm Janelle from HR here with Sir Wilkins and Mrblacc. We are awaiting our amazing, fabulous guest of the hour to join us. But before we do have him jump on board when he gets in, we want to remind everyone to start to RSVP for our WrestleMania viewing party 2-day extravaganza. I can't say stupendous because you know that you got to be there live, I think, for that type of energy. But our fabulous, amazing extravaganza 2-night at Legend. So once again, night 1, night 2, Saturday, April 2nd and 3rd. So make sure to RSVP because it will get busy and crowded, and we welcome everybody to come out and support. Other than that, I'm trying to think what else is going on. Shout out to Cole for BCW. They have their upcoming Queen of the North show this Saturday out in Richfield Park. So make sure to go out there, support. And then I believe Pro Magic Wrestling is next Saturday here in Richfield Park again. To support well, I'm probably gonna go because they have Steve Pena versus Tyree. So we wanted to go. Yeah, so
we gotta go, Janelle. Let me know.
We're gonna. Your hands are cold.
I can't say my. Shout out to God for that.
I was like,
"Woo!" See what I did there? See what I did there?
Hands
God
cold.
in the cold.
Anywho,
mm-hmm.
Before we do get started, as we are awaiting, what do you guys want to talk about real quick before we get into our dope interview and then talking about this week in wrestling? Anybody.
Dang.
It was an interesting week. 316 was yesterday. Stone Cold is Mr. Brand himself.
I like that I think he was giving special deals on his beer. On the beer's website, Broken Skull. Mm-hmm. They were doing deals all day for 316. So that was beer? Dope. No, I'm not a beer drinker.
Yeah, me either.
Outside of when we went to St. Louis for Rumble. Quick story. We went to St. Louis for Rumble and we did a brewery tour. I think it was kind of like my first brewery tour. I'm typically do distilleries, but we went to the Budweiser and they have like a whole campus.
Shout out to Matthew of Your Sports.
Shout out to Matt. Of course, fam in the building. So yeah, we went to the Budweiser brewery and they have like a whole legit campus, like legit different buildings. Like it's a whole property. It is like Willy Wonka of beer. When I tell you I'm not really into beers unless I'm playing beer pong, but I had the best Stella there could ever be during the tour. And it was like literally coming like direct from like the containers. It was me, Danny, and Gary. Shout out to Gary from Mania Club.
Miss WrestleMania.
What?
Danielle, Miss WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, because her birthday's around WrestleMania all the time. Yeah. So yeah. It was crazy because we were talking about how many WrestleManias we've been to. Yeah. And because on WWE Shop, for those that are listening and watching, WWE Shop has a really dope thing where you can get customized shirts where it says this is my, and then you enter the number, however many number WrestleManias you've been to. So I saw it the other day, and I thought that was dope. I was like, oh shit. So then I asked her, I was like, well, she was like, well, yeah, this is gonna be my 5th one. I was like, really? I thought you've been to more than that.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
I've been to more. This upcoming one is gonna be my number 6. So I was like, oh, I thought you had more than me. But yeah, they have like dope little customization things for wrestle. Anyone looking for like merch or anything for WrestleMania week. It's I think now after your first one, you're like, oh my God, the extravaganza. But then after the first one, it's more about the other things outside of the show itself. So like all the different independent shows, all the different like parties and like meetups or things like that. That kind of makes it the WrestleMania experience. So like after really your first show, you're like, okay, cool. This is it. But anyone once again going out to Dallas, highly recommend. GCW has 3 days filled of different shows and independent shows running. And once again, shout out to Story T Lines, which will have a table at the fanfare that they're having. So
shout out to Nathan Terry.
of course. And then For the Culture is Friday afternoon, 3:00. So tickets are still on sale for that. Where they had just announced, they had just announced a match. I was just like, what? I think it's Rich Swann versus JTG for the first time ever.
Oh wow,
that sounds dope.
And then they also have. Hold on, I can pull it up. GC let's see what else they have. I couldn't think of anything else. But yeah, they have different tons of wrestling going on, all different types of the day. Create Braun Strowman's and EC3's Control Your Own Narrative.
How you feel about that promotion?
They came out with rules and regulations the other day on social media, and I was like, this is hilarious. Like, this is for all the angry people out there, I think, to go and enjoy themselves. To each his own. It's during the same time as Wally Mania, so I won't go,
just the people who want to know what the rules are.
Control
your own narrative, rules and regulations. You are in control.
The last one is my favorite one.
You are in control. They say this twice. 3, fights end when you tap out. Get knocked out, can't stand or quit. Sanctioned matches can end via pinfall.
Sanctioned matches. So there are non-sanctioned and sanctioned matches going on. So let that be clear.
Number 4. Standard professional wrestling rules apply for sanctioned matches. Chaos ensues in the Project Pit. Number 5. No hashtag super kicks. No hashtags top suicides. Rope suicides. Taupe suicides. I don't know. He put it that way. And the last thing on number 5 is, hey, no Canadian destroyers.
No Canadian destroyers. So it was funny that and we're gonna start our interview because our guest, he's in the car. Our guest is actually live now, but the last thing was that Flip Gordon had said, "Oh, thank God they said they didn't say no flips because then he'd be asked out." But we have our guest here standing by, so we're gonna welcome him in into the chat. I want to know what car he's in. What kind of car
you know he got a nice car.
Is it a Beamer, Benz, or Bentley?
I'm pretty sure it's a Benz. I'm pretty sure.
No.
I'm almost 100% sure.
Add to stream, yeah, right there, dog.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh wait, we can't hold.
So no, I don't. Not a Beamer, not a Bentley. I'm actually not even in. I'm not even in the Jag today. I'm actually in the truck. I'm in the truck.
How many cars do you have?
Oh, just 2. We got the big truck. We got the big jacked up F-150, and then we've got the Jag. So.
No, the Jag. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out. We know you are a busy man with a lot of things going on, so we do appreciate you taking out the time. As always, anyone that comes on, they introduce themselves. So let the viewers and listeners know if they don't know. Let them know who you are.
Mm-hmm. I'm the National Treasure, Nick Aldis, 2-time NWA World's Champion, about to be 3-time after this weekend. I'm a founder and owner of Legacy Sports Nutrition. And proud husband and father. How about that?
Listen, seeing you with your wife and your son at WrestleCade, like, it's just so dope to have. I think you guys having that wrestling family vibe that you guys have and having the little one with you, it's so dope to see you guys just in that element, because of course you guys are professionals, but at the end of the day, you guys always make it known that you guys are parents first. So I think it's a definite kudos to you guys for that. You mentioned this weekend. What's going on this weekend? Give us a little. What's the tea? What's going on?
Well, this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, where I hang my hat these days as well. We've got the Crockett Cup pay-per-view weekend. It's a two night. So the first night will be the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament. They're bringing back the historic tag team tournament named after Jim Crockett Sr.
Nice.
He's cutting out. It's all good. Oh, okay.
As we wait, little technical
difficulties. I like this beat, so I think it should be a song.
That?
Turn that up. Turn it up. So Nick Aldis is stepped out for us. He's having some technical difficulties. But we're talking about his great career, though. He is like ranked 6 among like top reigns in NWA history.
As he should be.
He's still here? Talking. Nick? Okay.
Oh, he'll pop back in.
He'll pop back in. So,
but as he was saying, the Crockett Cup, if anyone in the Nashville, Tennessee area is going to be this weekend. I do believe Darius Lockhart is also on that show. He's in a 4-way, if I'm not mistaken.
NWA champion.
So that's pretty. I wish I would have known that because we were gonna go to. I'm thinking about we were gonna go to Crockett Cup 2020. We had like bought tickets and everything, and then COVID said,
what happened?
Hell to the no.
Hell to the no.
So yeah, no, we're just gonna wait for him to pop back in
Hell to the no.
and get some questions in, and then we're gonna let him go, and then we're gonna talk about some things this week in wrestling.
Yo, you know that there's a wrestler when I found out his name is Father Time, and he's legally blind, and he wrestled in like Detroit.
Really?
Yes. His name is Father Time, son.
And he's blind?
Yes, and he's black. I was like, what? I'm gonna show you him, son. Shout out to Spice at the Fallout Shelter, man. If you want good quality wrestling training from the best of the best, Fallout Shelter is here. It's convenience. It's right off the E train. Not too far from Manhattan, right in the heart of Queens. Fallout Shelter. Future Wrestlers of America.
Wait, Roxy is signed to WWE?
Yeah, that was a few days ago.
I just see it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it was I saw it a few days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know from where, but I did see it and I was glad because I was like, well, because we don't know how ROH is gonna, be or whatever.
Because not
she's kind of talented.
Bro.
No, he said he's booking. They got a show Mania weekend.
It's AEW talent.
It swerves on it.
It's AEW talent, bro. Like the whole. Never mind, man.
That's the point of him purchasing.
Can he put him on?
Well, he got to pop on the screen first.
Oh,
just a talk.
But once again, as we wait for the National Treasure to rejoin us, what other things are going on outside?
What, outside wrestling?
Yo, you know what's crazy?
What?
I like the millennial generation really is just fucked. We're on the verge of World War III, but mind you, went through a housing crisis. We went through 9/11, Kobe dying, COVID.
Legit, nothing has been the same since Kobe has passed. Legit.
No, nothing has been the same since after 2012, B. I'm telling you, the world.
No, I had a solid 2019.
Yo, boy. The world secretly ended, man. We are in simulation, son.
Well,
things have not been the same, son.
Yo, ever since we started holding up those brooms, we've been fucked.
Brooms?
That's what happened. We opened up another dimension. When niggas started like letting those brooms stand up, we opened up another dimension.
What brooms are you talking about?
No, that wasn't that.
That was that, son.
What brooms are you talking about?
Because Hillary did not win the election, B.
No, that's not what it is. It's with the brooms.
What?
We
opened
up another multiverse.
Y'all about to make me upset.
That's exactly. Look it up. Look up when they're making the broom stand because there was like there was something in the universe that like the world perfectly, all the planets perfectly aligned one time. I think that's what it was. And you could stand up a broom. People were standing up broom. Nigga, we opened up the multiverse.
Who's y'all?
You.
Yeah,
I didn't do it. You probably did it.
I have no idea what they're talking about. You just said with your big ass muscles.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we opened up the multiverse. They opened up the multiverse, and this is why we have problems that we have now.
Well, I like to stay living in where I am. So
shout out to Nathan Terry. He said, I remember the brooms.
What? Yo, what brooms?
Look,
people reconnected. He's gonna get some Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that.
Who said that, Terry?
Yeah.
Yes, because niggas were standing up brooms.
What? Where
and then it ruined the world.
Where the fuck was I at?
It ruined the world.
It did, man.
Kobe died was the first step. Then the broom started standing up.
Oh, the brooms happened after Kobe died?
Yes.
Oh, then that shit isn't valid. It still goes back to Kobe dying.
No, it's not. We
started the whole catalyst.
We opened up the multiverse. Yeah. When that happened, we opened up the multiverse.
So when this multiverse opened, did it bring COVID too? Or
yes. This wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
You
were always the main person to always instill in me everything happens for a reason. So I don't understand what you're
Yes,
saying.
the reason was Kobe passed. Then everybody was sad, right? And then there was a split because Hillary was supposed to win. Hillary didn't win. Then Kobe dies. Then we really opened up the multiverse by having the broom stand up. The brooms fucking stand up, and what happens? Yeah. COVID right after. Literally, COVID happened right after we stood up some fucking brooms.
Y'all stood up some fucking brooms. I didn't even know about no fucking brooms. I was sitting here trying to prepare myself for WrestleMania in Tampa, and y'all talking about brooms.
The broom started standing up, and everything started going left.
Even though low key, if I would have known that, I probably would have did it just off of like red.
See?
Just to see if it would have happened. I like science.
Niggas opened up
science and math was my shit in school. So
niggas opened
up
that
shit
multiverse.
Scientifically, I would have been intrigued. I'm like, oh shit, let's try it.
The multiverse
that's just
opened
like,
up, and then it led to Cody stopping racism.
What?
Cody?
It happened February of 2020, right before COVID.
Exactly.
Yo, so it's crazy.
So this shit opened up the multiverse.
The last thing we did in February was that we went to RA shows. So that's funny. That happened.
It opened up the multiverse, son. Because the thing about it, everything went left. Everything went because the thing about it. Think about it.
Was it? No. Kobe the domino effect. Because
no,
I don't.
Kobe passed away.
Shit, so.
Was the first ripple. But what tore it apart was because this is what happened.
Some fucking brooms?
No, because the broom took us out of our center. We were
just make that up.
No,
yeah. I'm sitting here like, and I know people that are watching like,
you know what? It's the Jobbertears, man.
It took us off of alignment because we were aligned with one multiverse. And what happened when that broom was standing up? We went left, and you know what that left was? COVID.
Okay, you know what?
I'm so glad our guest is trying to reappear because this whole broom shit threw me off. I was like, brooms? What? Did anyone else know about that? I have no idea. That shit is wild. How you just gonna take your brother's stuff and then put it back?
He's not gonna watch it back.
My nigga, he's in the vicinity.
He's not gonna watch it back.
First of all, he'll know. Your brother will notice that the shit is a little lighter than what it was. He'd be confused, like, what the fuck is this?
Yo, you know, to this day, people don't believe that we're brothers.
Yeah, and that's why I always, any interview or anything we do, I always say, like, let me be clear that they're actual blood. Some
people say that,
brothers.
I do look alike, but I don't want to be racist. It's actually our brother.
Does he hear us? Oh, he got popped.
Oh my gosh.
He popped out. He's just having some technical difficulties. He's trying to get some Wi-Fi. So
I went to the Fallout shelter, right? Some guy was like, yeah, what up, man? He's like, yo, Jobbertears, man. So Wilkins. I said, that's my brother. He said, yo, I didn't know y'all was brothers. This, that, and third.
So what did he think?
He just think that we just dark-skinned people that look alike.
Hello, you hear us, Nick?
I'm back.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. It's okay if we don't see you. We know how you look fabulous. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm out and about running errands. I was trying my best to get on Wi-Fi, but time's getting away from me. So I'm trying to do it off my phone.
No, we're good.
It's all fine.
We're absolutely good on that. So
you're the secret general manager right now of the Jobbertears.
I mean, that'll actually be really dope once upon a time. But we were talking about this weekend and the Crockett Cup returning, and it was so funny because I was originally gonna go 2020, and then the world decided no, we're gonna just not do anything. So it's great that they're not only redoing the Crockett Cup, but they're doing it as a weekend thing. I think that's super dope. But tell us a little bit more about your upcoming match because it sounds like you're going back for the 10 pounds of gold.
Well, hey, look, you know, if you've been following the NWA, you know that this clown from Long Island, Matt Cardona, has been running his mouth about how apparently some mid-card guy from WWE is going to help save the NWA, you know, and he came in and he picked his moment. You know, I think he was very tactical in the way that he approached coming in. He waited until I was preoccupied with a feud with Tom Latimer and then reuniting the British Invasion with Doug Williams, and he realized, like, oh, okay, now that the true alpha of the NWA is kind of tied up with other stuff, now I'll slip in and try to take the title. And of course, he used a bunch of shenanigans to get the title away from Trevor. And now, of course, he was, you know, trying to run his mouth and crow about how he was somebody. So I basically said, not today, my friend. So I went to Billy Corgan and said, hey, I have a rematch from my contract from when I lost the title in St. Louis last year that I never redeemed. So the time is now, and we got to get this manufactured Joker off of our screens as the NWA champ.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your beginnings. How was it easy? What was the level of difficulty from transitioning? Because from what I know, you started kind of like from like bodybuilding. So how was that transition from that into wrestling? And then,
Well, that's not entirely accurate. I think.
Okay, tell us a
I
little bit about the story then.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've never done competitive bodybuilding. I never did anything like that. I mean, I've always been a avid, trainer and weightlifter, bodybuilder, in that respect. But I think that when I first sort of fell in love with wrestling and wanted to get into it, my first thought, and I know considering a lot of wrestlers that are around today, this might seem like a foreign concept, but when I formulated the idea that I wanted to be a wrestler, my first thought was, well, I better get in the gym, and get in shape and look the part. And because I idolized Bret Hart and Steve Austin and The Rock and Sting and Hogan and so I was Triple H and all these. So I was kind of like, okay, well, if I want a chance to try and be like those guys, I need to look like those guys, and that's not something that anyone else can do for you besides yourself. So I developed a passion for fitness and nutrition as early on as I did for wrestling. Like they've kind of been the two major sort of anchors in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, no, and it's funny that you asked about the transition, because I thought you were going to ask me about the transition from gladiators to wrestling, because that's another sort of
Well, you can
that's
talk
another
about that.
well we can, but what I was going to say was that's another misconception that's kind of followed me around for a lot of my career, which was that people thought that I was discovered on that show, and then was basically approached to be a wrestler and signed to TNA, which again is not accurate. I was a full-time wrestler at 18 years old. I went, I started in the business at 17. I started training with the Knight family, who you guys will be familiar with, is from Page.
Mm-hmm.
And they were running a lot of shows, and I was working for them. And then I managed to, and again, because I had started lifting weights at a young age and kind of stood out from other guys my age, I was able to get booked more places. And then I ended up getting booked with Brian Dixon of All Star Wrestling, who were the #1 promotion in the UK and Europe.
Talk your shit. Talk your shit.
At that time, Brian was running like 300 shows a year.
Oh, wow.
Like he had a huge, he had a really, really successful, consistent business, and I was able to get on. So it's funny because when I came over to the States, I was a young kid, was 21, 22, and very green, but I was getting like, I would get all the kind of typical sort of crusty timers kind of saying, oh, you guys don't know about the territories coming up in the territories, and we had to wrestle every day and yada yada. And I was thinking like, well, my first year in the business, I wrestled every day, sort of from Tuesday to Sunday, Mondays off, and that was for about 3/4 of the year.
Oh.
And there was a 6-hour drive, give or take, between each shot. So, and because I was the young, me and Tom Latimer and Marty Skrull and guys like that, we were the young guys. So we had, we were putting the ring up, taking the ring down as well, sort of shifting all the merchandise and everything like that. So it was like, we were just, I mean, I was broke in that way, I came from wrestling. Like that was what I wanted to do my whole life. It was like, it was the fact that I was a wrestler, and I had developed some of those skills, particularly verbal skills, that got me the gig with Gladiators. Like that's what got me the part, which is so funny because then when I came over here, you know, a lot of the TNA guys and stuff were like, oh, he's some guy from a TV show that Dixie likes. And that kind of followed me around for a long time. But I was like,
like it's funny, but it's not funny.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
It's like, how dare you?
Oh,
You don't
man,
know
you saw
me.
on TV, like, oh yeah, I like.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I mean, there were. You know, it only occurred to me about a year after I got there, like, because you know, once the guy started warming up to me and you know, and stopped like treating me like a pariah, you know, and I was kind of like. And I forget how it came up in conversation, but I remember having a conversation with Slick Johnson, who's a referee, and he said something about like, well, man, you know, you really improved considering you've only been wrestling for a year. And I went, what? Like, I haven't been wrestling for a year. What are you talking about? He's like, well, didn't you start last year? And I was like, no. And then I explained to him, and you know, and I think it started to make sense for people. And then obviously when Doug came in to, you know, we made with the British Invasion and all that Doug kind of smartened everyone up too and was like, no, he like I recommended him to a bunch of promoters in the UK. Like I wrestled him in the UK. You know, what are you talking about? So anyway, but it's just funny that you certain things in, you know, and obviously you guys, I've met you guys before and talked to you guys a little bit. And, you know, I obviously in the way that you present your whole sort of your whole kind of culture is to try to kind of combat that silly sort of online narrative that kind of dominates everything. So it's just funny because it's like those are the sort of, it's so funny how things just somewhat all it takes is like one person to just say something and then it just sticks.
It's,
you know,
it's the worst game of telephone there is.
Oh yeah.
Possible, which is really good, and that's why we're glad to have you on, so that we can kind of clear that, so that from now on, no one can walk up to you and be like, "Hey, did you get on from Gladiators?" And they won't even come to you with that anymore.
It's a million years ago now. No one even brings it up anymore. But that's where I thought you were going. You know, So I was like, here we go. We got another Wikipedia researcher here.
No.
That's why when you said Gladiators, I was like, he was on that, really? Because like my first knowing like of you was really TNA. So I was thinking like, oh, he probably, you know, assuming
Gladiators I knew, but I was like, that don't mean nothing.
Yeah, like if he wasn't in the Gladiators from like the 90s, I wouldn't have known nothing.
Yeah, I knew about
that. right.
But TNA, when like I knew you from TNA. Like,
yeah, like British Invasion. That's all. That's how I start. That's how I knew you.
That's how we all knew you. But you mentioned
funny. It's amazing to me. You know how that's one of the reasons why we had the little short-lived kind of reunion of the British Invasion, because it was amazing to us that even after all these years and everything I've done since then, that people still bring it up. You know, fans still like, oh man, I love the British Invasion. And I was like, well, where were you guys when we were actually a team? Like, but you know, but it was. I mean, that was a great. That was it really was a very important part of my career, because I got, you know, it really helped me learn on the job, because I got thrown in at the deep end with TNA. You know, there's no way that a 21-year-old kid with like a couple of years of experience of holiday camp style wrestling, which was very like yay, boo, send them home happy, house show kind of style. There was no way that a kid with that level of experience should have been just thrown onto live TV like, here you go. But that's what happened, you know, TNA. So I was drowning. So it was, really? And so it saved me, because you know, otherwise I would never, you know, because there's just you can't learn on TV. You know, you get like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. It's like you know, and so being put in the tag team allowed me to just focus on sort of one thing at a time, kind of work on my timing. Doug would handle most of the stuff in the ring, and I would handle the verbal stuff. And we got paired up with Beer Money, who were, you know, red hot, and we got paired up with the Dudleys, you know, obviously had a lot of experience. So it was, you know, so it was a great learning experience for me.
Oh man. You mentioned something and it stuck out to me, because I like working out. So I have to ask you on this. You were like, you said it in the beginning of this, as soon as you said it. You said, yeah, a lot of guys don't know about this, but I was working out. I started working out.
Right. Dude, so, I mean, every time I do, I do quite a few seminars. Like I just did one in Poland when I was over there a few weeks ago and all that.
Wait,
and
like how recently?
Well, funny you should say that. Actually, the day I flew out was the day before Ukraine was invaded.
No.
Jesus.
And I saw I got stuck for an extra day. It was press conference on the Friday, show on the Saturday, and then a training seminar on the Sunday. And I was supposed to fly out the Monday, but there was bad weather in Amsterdam where I was going to make my connection. So all the flights got bumped for 24 hours. So I was stuck for an extra day, which I didn't hate because I love Poland. It's a fabulous country, beautiful. Krakow is one of my favorite cities. It's really, really fun to go hang out. And me and Santino both got stuck, so we just like hung out for the day. It was cool. But when we then went to the airport the following day, we were like, there was all this traffic, and the guy driving us was like, oh, I don't know why there's so much traffic. It's like, whatever time it was, like middle of the day, like this is weird. And then it was because there was this huge military convoy, troops heading to the border. Yeah. So, and we were kind of like, oh, this is happening. Shit's on.
It's time to go.
Yeah. And then it was funny. It's like, that's when you realize how little people know about European geography, especially Americans, because when I got back the next day, and then obviously it's all over the news, like it's happening, like, Russia's invading the Ukraine. And my phone was blowing up. Like all these people, where are you? Are you there? Because they kept showing on that first day, they kept showing, a graphic of the map. And so obviously there is like Ukraine and then Poland,
right there.
And, and it was funny because like then as soon as that started airing on TV, my phone just wouldn't stop ringing all day. People, hey, are you back? Where are you still in Poland? Oh my God, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine, it's fine. But yeah, that was kind of weird. But anyway, what were we talking about? A training seminar, right? So every time I do one, invariably somebody will ask, like, what can I do to further my career? What can I do to sort of get noticed or to make progress or whatever? And I'll be like, have you thought about working out? Have you thought about like getting in the gym and making sure you have a really good body? Because you're not going to have points deducted for having a good body, or at least you shouldn't, even though that's a debatable point with the culture that exists now as well. But it's like, you sure as hell limit your chance if you don't work out. Gone are the days of being hired just for your physique, which is probably a good thing. But if you choose not to work out, or you don't really dedicate yourself to your diet and training like as much as you should, you're limiting your chances of success. So, and again, I just looked at it like my father was an athlete, like he was a rugby player. So when I told my parents that this is what I was going to do, I was going to pursue wrestling, my dad was very practical about it and just said, okay, well, give yourself the best chance of success you can, and that's the way I've always looked at it.
What's the biggest difference between wrestling in the UK or in Europe versus here in the States? Like, are there different styles that, because not everything translates well on TV. Like for me,
Yeah.
I've never been into, unfortunately, New Japan because it just doesn't translate to me here in the States. But I bet you they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So what are some of like the differences and similarities in terms of wrestling in Europe versus here in the States?
Well, I think that they have diminished over time. I don't think there is as much of a difference as there used to be, because I think American wrestling became, by far and away the most popular style to the British audience. Obviously back in the 70s and 80s, and even before that, but especially in the 70s and then into the early 80s, Britain had their own very unique style of presentation and television and everything. And it was a huge part of British television. It was a major part of the sort of fabric of British culture on, Saturday afternoons. But they didn't move with the times. You had, we still had the sort of smoky halls and the small rings, and most of the guys didn't really look like much. I mean, you had certain guys who were obviously starting to realize like they needed to look more like a star. So you had like Rollerball Rocco, and obviously you had like Dynamite and and different guys but they were because they were getting booked around the world. They were going to Japan, they were going to the States, they were going to Canada and stuff like that. And you had some heavyweights, like you had Wayne Bridges and Tony Sinclair and guys like that who were getting, Dave Taylor and stuff, who were getting booked all over the world. But for the most part, the sort of domestic British wrestlers, they sort of looked just like your average Joes. And that was okay when people weren't exposed to Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and right and but then once that started, once television changed and obviously satellite and everything like that, once people were able to consume more Americana, they're sort of going, wow, this is like night and day just from this television presentation. Yes, like the in-ring work is that's a debatable point. That's subjective anyway. There's another thing in wrestling that drives me crazy. There's no such thing as the best wrestler. It's totally subjective. It's what you like versus what you don't like. But but when you're watching a television show and you've got one show which is kind of a dimly lit, smoky hall with maybe 1,000 people in it, kind of clapping and murmuring and maybe jeering a little bit, versus like an arena with lights and pyro and music and and these huge jacked up tan guys, like larger than life sort of thing with brilliant like production values, there's no comparison. And so by the time I fell in love with wrestling, it was American wrestling. All my generation, like I know that there's a lot of guys from my generation, British guys, who have made a concerted effort to learn the British style. Like I was broken in that way. Like I learned all that British style. Like, I wrestled Jonathan Gresham a few weeks ago.
Really?
And it was funny because, and I don't want to speak for Gresh because I don't know him that well, but I've known him for a long time and I've always liked him. But I kind of got the feeling that he maybe underestimated my technical skills. and it was funny because like, then once we got in there and started working, I could just tell that he kind of went, oh, okay. But but because I don't do that stuff very much because it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do it, but I can do it if I need to, because I was taught all that stuff when I broke in. I was broken in by a bunch of crusty old British shooters, so I can do all that stuff if I need to. But anyway, yeah. So I'd say that it's more. There has been an effort in the last few years. I'd say probably the last 10 years, especially. There's been an effort from British wrestlers to sort of definitely, sort of reignite some of that British style. They sort of catch wrestling, kind of approach, and sort of incorporate it into, a more usable sort of entertainment style. But I think that overall, all the genres of wrestling have kind of amalgamated, right? Because when you watch America, I mean, I watch, if you watch WWE or AEW, you see a ton of spots that originated in Japan. Like and you see, and on independent shows, you see a lot of people attempting to do sort of Japanese style spots and not necessarily getting it right. But so I'd say that if anything, most styles are sort of blended together now, and there are less defined styles. Although I would say that probably, I would say that Mexico and Japan have probably stayed more true to their style. But even those, I would venture to say that both of those have probably incorporated a bit more sort of American wrestling, elements into their stuff and everything like that. But as far as British versus American style, I would say the main difference is, for me at least, was always in the sort of in the snugness of the holds and the execution of the sort of reversals and technique, the sort of, what Americans call chain wrestling. It was like America, like there's a very, in Britain, there was a real emphasis always on the details, like to really make sure that you lock out everything properly and you really cinch it properly and you don't have any gaps and you don't, You don't do anything sort of sloppily or loosely so that it looks phony and fake. I would say that's probably the main difference.
Got you. So you mentioned you just came from Poland safely. Thank you.
Yes.
What's one place that you haven't wrestled that you would love to?
I'd love to wrestle in South America. We were supposed to go for TNA. there was a South American tour. This is such a classic TNA story. I
was gonna say, who had the budget for South America?
we had it. Oh, you wait till it was like we got this tour booked, and we were so excited because it was like I think it was Santiago, Chile, Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires.
Oh man!
And there was a fourth, and I can't remember what the fourth city was, but like all amazing South American cities, right? And because of the distance and everything, it was an 8-day tour, so there was a day in between each show, so you would actually have time to like go and explore and see all these places, and we were so pumped. And I remember like I was booked on it and Mickey wasn't, and she was so mad. She was so irritated that she wasn't booked on this tour. And I go to fly out. We were supposed to fly we were connecting in Atlanta, and then it was Atlanta to Santiago. And we're all in the Delta Lounge, right? And we're sitting there, and we're having a couple of drinks. We're all like, everyone's excited, like, because we're like, hey, this is cool. We're going to South America. This is gonna be balling, and we're like, okay. And we were in the Sky Club Lounge, and Jenks, who was the live event guy for TNA, he answered his phone, and it's the office, and like he stands up on a table like in the lounge. I'm sure that I can only imagine what the businessmen and other people must have thought when they were witnessing this. Like, and he goes, "Y'all, we are not getting on that plane." And we were like, "What? Like, what happened?" So I guess what happened was the promoter over there had they were supposed to pay. They had paid 50%, and they were supposed to pay the remaining 50% for the tour, like before we left. It was like, and they just hadn't paid. They just disappeared. They'd ghosted. So so the office basically went, well, they paid us half the money for the tour, but they haven't paid the other half, and we don't want to take the risk, so go home. And they changed all our flights. So we were like, so we sat there, and then I called Mickey and said, I'll be home in a couple of hours. Told her what happened. She was just like, what?
She was
so
like,
it almost went.
So you can't go.
Yeah, she was like, well, I guess that's karma.
Yeah. I'm sure she was secretly laughing, but yeah, I was. So I've always wanted to go to South America since then, because I was very excited to go. I've actually never wrestled in the Middle East either. There's been some talk. I've been approached by a couple of things in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and stuff, but none of it's materialized as of yet. But I've never been to the Middle East. That would be interesting as well. But yeah, certainly, yeah. For me, South America would definitely be the one place I'd really like to go wrestle.
Oh wow.
So what is your favorite wrestling style?
American style. I mean, it's the style that got me to,
Blitz, the glam, everything.
Well, it's what made that's what I watched. That's what captivated me. I don't think I would have been. I'm first of all, let me just commend you. I appreciate your candor by honestly saying, I understand some people like New Japan. I personally don't. Like, I appreciate your candor in saying that, and I think it's totally okay for people to feel that way. Like, I think one of the most harmful things that's happened to the business in the last 10 years is this gatekeeper mentality.
Ooh, say that again for those in the back. Okay,
where you have to like certain things, and if you don't, then you don't know what you're talking about, and you're an idiot. No, if you like this stuff, or you're a WWE dick rider, like whatever. It's just like this is it's so damaging. It's so detrimental to the business because
he brings up a good point, because it definitely drains you from enjoying what you actually like.
Right. And think about what we do, right? I've made a very healthy living from putting on tights and wrestling,
Healthy.
right?
He said healthy.
Healthy.
That means he
You're
bought.
good.
I mean, he
You
good.
ain't
Hey,
the bag and
Look,
saying
it's a
it's good.
subjective, yeah. It's it is what you make it. But when you really break it down, you go like, look, we ain't solving geopolitical problems here. We're not like, we're not artists. We're not sort of breaking any, we're not sort of breaking any cultural ceilings and setting any new standards for artistic merit. And we're telling stories, right? And we're providing escapism for people who just want to enjoy, like, who basically, I always thought of wrestling as like Rocky. It's you're creating this conflict and you're creating this anticipation to this showdown.
Dang.
And okay, let's get it on. Like, let's, and I'm gonna root for the guy I want to root for, and I'm gonna boo the guy that I want to see get beat, and I'm gonna get taken on a ride. And just over the years, it's just been so like bastardized by this sort of weird like meta kind of culture of like, oh no, I know how it all works, even though I've never been in the business for a day in my life. I know how it all works, so I get to sort of pontificate and profess what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. Like, how about you just watch and shut the hell up?
It's just as simple as that. Like, and it's something that I think we've experienced where people have like shunned us for certain things. And it's just like, we like what we like. We acknowledge, if that's your cup of tea, then great. But if not,
Right.
let's not bash each other for what we don't
Dude,
know.
I got lambasted a few years ago because I said I said that the internet fans have an unhealthy obsession with like Japanese wrestling to a point where it's like, it's kind of weird, right? Because I think a lot of people just first of all, I think that a lot of the internet fans haven't actually really watched a ton of Japanese wrestling. I think they've just watched a little bit, but I think most of them have been pressured into pretending to like it, like whether and look, I'm not saying I like or don't like. I like some of it and I don't like some of it, the same as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's funny that like there seems to be this kind of sort of universal kind of you must praise everything Japanese. Like, I remember that, like, the first time I went to Japan, I teamed with Joe and we beat Akiyama and Saito for the GHC tag belts, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Jun Akiyama, for those who don't know, Jun Akiyama is a big deal. Like, and to get a win over Akiyama on your first time I was like, really? Like, that's amazing, so I certainly don't, I certainly don't want to sort of, I have a great deal of respect for Japanese wrestling and Japanese wrestlers. But I think that there's this, but when I was over there, I kind of really deferred to Joe because I was like, hey, you're over here. I know it's a very different style and you really have to earn your kind of respect with Japanese audience. So like, I'm just going to follow your lead. And I forget how it came up, but like Joe was like smartening me up and Joe goes, there's just as much shitty wrestling here as there is anywhere else. Like,
which show are you talking about? Just so the
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe.
I figured, but I just want to make sure everybody knows.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, dude, he goes, he's like, dude, there's just as much shitty wrestling here in Japan as there is anywhere else. So don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? Like, the good stuff is good and the bad stuff is trash, just like anywhere else.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to, is like, wrestling is one of those things where, and it's probably, and this is probably one of the reasons why succeeding in wrestling is difficult, and especially succeeding on a commercial level as a promoter or an owner or something, because good pro wrestling is really, really good and enjoyable, but bad pro wrestling is just painfully embarrassing to watch. You know what I mean? It's so detrimental, right? And it's like, and I'm sure that, you know, you can say the same about anything, music or comedy or acting or anything like that. But it's like, but with wrestling, because there's already such a scrutiny on it from the outside. But now, again, it's what tying this into what we were talking about with the sort of gatekeeper culture is like, now it's so heavily scrutinized, even by the ones who are like the most dedicated fans. So if you're kind of new to the genre and you're like a new audience and you're kind of like, hey, I watched this show and I thought it was kind of cool. Let me delve into this more. But then you watch something and all you see is just people just burying it like, oh, this sucked. This wasn't good. The booking of this was terrible. It's like, what does that do to you? You know, you're most likely going to go, oh, I guess it wasn't good. You know, confirmation bias. So you sort of, you know, and I just wonder how many people are, and that's why the term gatekeeper is the best way to describe. It's not online fans. Everyone's an online fan now. The whole world is online. But like the gatekeeper fans, the ones who think that their dollar is worth more than everyone else's dollar, even though it's not. You know, like because they post on message boards and because they've spent hours, like, you know, writing house show reports for Meltzer or whatever it is, right? Like that, they somehow think that their opinion is somehow worth more than everyone else's. It's like your dollar is worth the same as the guy who's just coming to watch for the first time. Mm-hmm. And in actuality, do you want the one guy who's going to, you know, write a review on his blog, you know, or do you want the family of four? Right? Because, you know, WWE will tell you, we'll take the family of four, please and thank you.
Family of 4, 6, 8, 12.
Right.
Grandbaby.
We'll take the family of four who are going to buy, who are going to show up. They're going to get 4 tickets, not 1. They're going to buy a bunch of merch. They're going to get, you know, they're going to get concessions. They're going to, you know, the kids, they're going to get like, it's just, you know, it's just simple. And you just sort of think, dude, it's like, just relax. That's like, I see all these fans just go, just relax.
Chill out.
Like if you didn't like, cool. If hey, there's more wrestling to consume now than ever. If you didn't like that match, you could have just decided, you could have just thought that instead of broadcasting it.
Right. Not everything needs to be just on such a big
platform. Right.
And
it's like, do you really want the business to prosper? Like, because if you want the business to prosper and succeed, you're really not helping by like trashing every single bit that you don't like, but then not talking about stuff that was good.
Right. You got to take the good and the bad. You mentioned like we're in this weird kind of dichotomy where like it's this division of like professional wrestling and sports entertainment. What is your thought? Like, what are your thoughts on that kind of like division between, you know, it being, you know, like this larger than life? Because, you know, that's kind of how you fell into, and how all of us fell into wrestling, was that like larger than, like my favorite is Macho Man, hands down. So like that, him pulling a promo and not talk, he can talk about a pencil and I am glued to the TV. So
he's Mickey's favorite wrestler too.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Yeah, Macho Man. Yeah.
But
whoa!
Let me ask you a question, Nick, because it piggybacks off of this. People say it's sports entertainment and then there's wrestling. In my eyes, they're all the same shit.
All the same thing.
But I could be wrong. We could be wrong. What we're saying, because at the end of the day, you're dressing up in tights
and wrestling.
You're going in front of people.
It's one of those things where, like, look, Vince McMahon coined the phrase sports entertainment a long time ago for a specific reason. It was mostly for, you know, commercial reasons.
It saved the business low key, but nobody will give them credit.
Right. And yes, do I find it odd that they seem to have such a such a sort of pathological rejection of the word wrestling? Yes, I do find that a bit strange, but it's like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, why are we talking about this? Like, yes, when I hear the phrase sports entertainment, I know exactly what they mean when they're saying it, and I have used the phrase. I don't say I'm a sports entertainer. I say I'm a pro wrestler, and I love pro wrestling. That's what I do. But to me, pro wrestling is a part of sports entertainment. And the reason I say that is because I did Gladiators. that is what I would also deem that as sports entertainment, because yes, what we with the results weren't predetermined. Like you had to actually like compete with the guys and like win those games. But we're grown men, like, trying to like pull each other off a climbing wall, or like, knock each other off a bridge with a big foam stick.
With the gun? That could have.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like the hang tough. You swing on these giant rings and try to pull the other guy off into a pool. It's like, yes, it is but we're not doing the Olympics here, guys. But see, that's why I said that's sports entertainment, right? Like anything that is. I kind of side with Cornette, when Cornette says, when I preferred wrestling when it was an entertaining sport versus sports entertainment, because I know what he means when he says that too.
Yeah.
What does he mean?
Right? Because he means that it has to be rooted in believable athletic competition, right? It's a simulated athletic competition. Once you start getting into, I don't like all the over the silly like dialogue and the overproduced, camera angles and the sort of, dialogue during the match and stuff, because now we're sort of getting into something else, right? That's just me. For me, I like, Flair and Steamboat is to me is like the sort of pinnacle of like what an entertaining sport is, right? Because the guys were kind of, everything they did was incredibly athletic, and these guys, you had to be a tremendous athlete to be able to pull off what they pulled off, but it was done in a way that was designed to entertain.
Mhm.
So that's an entertaining sport. It's sport. It's a simulated sport executed in a way to maximize the entertainment value of it. So, but again, yeah, the whole sort of debate about pro wrestling and sports entertainment. No, dude, it's all the same thing. They're just different versions of it.
Mhm.
The same way that, ballroom dancing and break dancing are both types of dance, but they don't resemble each other very much at all. But they're both dance. They're
both
both
dancing.
They're both dancing.
You're both dancing. So.
Right.
So,
Right.
Do you think there's been like I wouldn't say renaissance, but like a gold rush of wrestling now? Like it's because it's everywhere. Do you think we're in a new?
No.
Oh, wow.
That was the most honest no I think we've ever gotten.
Cause the reason why I say that, and I asked you because you gave me your honest opinion, is that it's so much of it now.
Right. It's a flooded market, is what it is. It's not.
It's oversaturated.
It's supply and demand is this. The demand is not. It's the you could argue that the demand is lower than it once was. It's it's just. It's just as technology has evolved, the path to entry into the genre on a sort of broadcasting level has been made easier, which is not a bad thing. But and from a wrestler's point of view, I guess it's slightly more encouraging, because you can sort of think, okay, look at me, for example, for circumstances that we don't have to delve into now, it's like, all right, I guess WWE isn't going to happen for me, but I've still been able to make a good living, and still been able, and I would argue that I'm very flattered by the fact that in when I talk to a lot of fans or to sort of different people in the media and stuff like that, that at least to a small degree, some of those guys consider me in the same sort of vein as a WWE guy, because of the way I'm able to present myself and the way I've been presented. That's a good thing. That's a good byproduct of the sort of multitude of promotions and platforms that are available now. Because you don't want one dominant. You don't want one dominant force, because then it's just from a wrestler's point of view, because again, using myself as an example, all it takes is one guy who doesn't like you, and so all your hard work is then is then for naught, basically, because it's like, well, imagine if you want to play in the NFL, you got like you go through college, you bust your ass, you're good, you work hard, you hit all your numbers and everything. It would be like, if you wanted to play in the entire NFL, it would be like if one guy who worked for the actual NFL didn't like you. but you know, there's all these different teams because it's like, all right, well, you know, the head coach of the, you know, of the doesn't like me, but you know, but hey, the head coach of this other team likes me, so I'll go play there. You know.
No, I get it. So one of the things is that the way you present yourself is top tier.
Yeah.
I've said it. I've called you the drip
Hands
king of the
Mhm.
of the wrestling community. Everything, even when we met you at WrestleCade, you were dressed down, but you were still fly.
Still fly.
So,
Fly.
how did you get to a point, or who taught you how to stay polished 24/7?
Nobody taught me. I just
he always had the juice.
My man,
He was
yeah.
born like this.
no. That's no because trust me, I look back at some of the stuff, particularly some of the segments I did in TNA, and I looked at the way I was dressed, and I'm like, God, it's cringy. Like, why did they let me go out dressed like that? You know, but again, it's because I was, you know, what happened is around the age of 30 thereabouts is when I realized, like, I wasted a lot of opportunities because I was trying too hard to fit in, and when you're trying to fit in, you don't stand out. And what you have to,
that's a bar.
right?
That's true.
And I suddenly went, what am I doing? Like, you know, I thought like I was because you know, because you would, that's a sort of thing that happens in wrestling is like you'll see it all the time. One particular guy will do something new and it gets really over, and then within 6 months there'll be 50 guys doing, you know, a kind of a watered down version of it, right? Like whatever it may be, whether it's, you know, certain type of style, certain moves, or, you know, whatever it is, right? And I think, you know, in my case, I was kind of like, I was looking at the sort of the guys who were kind of inhabiting the top spots at TNA, and I was sort of going, oh, I guess I should dress like that, or I guess I should, you know, but then I look at now and go, God, I just look like a schlub, you know. I just, you know, like that's not me, right? Like, and look, I don't dress that way to you know, create a fake image of being rich or to, you know, to sort of brag about, like, you know, it's not a materialistic thing, it's a professionalism thing. For me, it's like, if you can, you know, if you invest in some custom made suits, and in my case, I don't have to invest in them now, they make them for free, which is a perfect example of why you should invest in it, because, you know, now I get them for free and I have my own line. But
we got to talk about that in a bit, because I need a suit, bro. But
all right, well, we'll step into my office. But you know, but I looked at it and realized, look, the way I look, the way I talk, just the natural sort of aura that you give off, that, you know, the natural first impression that people have of you, there's very little you can do to change that.
First
and I got told over and over again, like Bischoff told me this and other people told me this, you know, when I first met you, I thought you were kind of a dick, you know. Like, and it's like, I don't know, I'm sorry, that I guess that's just my resting dick face, I don't know, but it's like, but I was like, I don't, you know, but after a while I just started realizing, well, I'm just going to use that, because everyone always assumes, you know, I use this as an example. I had a couple of friends over yesterday and we had a couple of drinks, and we got a wet bar in the house, and I opened it up and it's full of whiskey, because I'm actually more of a vodka drinker if I'm going to drink at all. I very rarely drink, but Mickey and I both usually drink vodka if we're going to drink liquor. But people gift me whiskey all the time because they go, I just assumed that you were a whiskey guy. You know, like they just, so I get given bottles of whiskey all the time by different, you know, whiskey and cigars, and because I just kind of assume that you're like that kind of guy that has like studded leather chairs and a whiskey and a cigars, and, you know, and this, and it's like, hey, I'm partial to a cigar, you know, but it's like whiskey, I don't mind it, but it's not my first choice.
I don't know how they
you know,
just
it's a
roll up
perfect
to your
example. It's
house
like you can't change. Like if you spend all your life trying to change like people's first impression of you, like it's a huge waste of time.
Yeah, it is.
Because people just look at you and make snap judgments, and it's kind of like, you got to just stop worrying about those people, because there's no substance to that anyway.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to please them.
So I just kind of made the decision to go, no, I'm just going to take what I have and embrace it and sort of use it. And I realized, like, no, once I started really making an effort with my suits and everything, I realized immediately I could just feel the difference in the way people were reacting to me and treating me. And I had a ton more confidence. Like, I would walk it once I put the suit on. It's like a suit of armor. You know, as soon as I'm done putting it on, I'm like, I walk differently. I, have a different posture. You know what I mean? I speak differently. I look differently.
Mhm.
That's what we're all about. Again, we're in the entertainment business. Jimmy Hart, like, he's like, hey, if you dress like the guy in the front row, like, what's the guy in the front row supposed to think? I forget how his exact phrase. I'm butchering it, but that's Jimmy Hart's thing. He's always like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah, that makes
It makes sense.
that makes sense.
Because Darius Lockhart said that. Darius Carter said that to me.
Yeah.
Darius Carter, who's was on the independent scene in the Northeast, he said that's one of the same things. Like, yo, I dress up because I'm the star.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
right.
You gotta stay fly.
You got to do. And like, the suit thing works for me, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't. And I always say this to people: you got to just you've got to be real honest with yourself. I think the most important value or the most important trait that a wrestler has to have is self-awareness. Like, you have to know, like, okay, even though I might wish that I could be like Macho Man, for example, let's use him again, but it's like, that ain't me, right? There's that's just never going to be who I am. It's just like, but to have a Macho Man, you need to have a guy who contrasts with him. That's another thing that it's like, one of the things I've been like, that's the gatekeepers kind of rag on me about is like, his style is too plain, or he doesn't do enough flashy stuff or whatever, right? But it's like, but what happens if everyone does flashy stuff? It's not flashy.
There's no,
like,
dang,
you've got to be somebody has to be the guy that provides the contrast so that you can tell a good story.
That's the issue I have with AEW. Oh shit! Like, he just solved that riddle for me.
That's the issue you have with AEW, you said?
A little bit, yeah.
It's because everybody's flashy?
No. But it's the
don't credit me with that, because that'll be
no, we're not gonna do that.
That'll be the clickbait. That'll be the clickbait taken from this. Nick Aldis very.
We won't clip this.
So honestly speaking, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And people do listen to our interviews who we don't know. They'll take it on their own. We don't
run with it.
I know.
No, just to be clear, like, no, what in terms of the foundation of what he was saying, in terms of if it's the same thing over and over, then there's no contrast. And how can you thoroughly enjoy it? Because you don't have something you don't have a contrast to compare things to.
It's the all you can eat buffet.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of fun once in a while.
Yeah, but
because it's like, you go to Vegas and you're like, oh yeah, shit, let's go to the buffet. But then, like, by the time you go up to your third plate, you kind of go, and how do I did I really enjoy this? So, but it's, you can go to Golden Corral and eat as much as you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to be like memorable or good quality.
Yeah.
Right. But you go to a Michelin star restaurant every now and then, and you get, this perfectly cooked, perfectly portioned, perfectly seasoned, presented, gourmet dish. You're probably going to remember that.
Maybe want to get a porterhouse now.
Yo, facts. You all getting hungry now.
Maybe want to get a hungry.
It makes sense, because the thing, I think one of the biggest things you said is that if you're going to have a Batman,
you got to have a villain.
You got to have a villain, but the villain can't be just Batman's
twin.
Nobody wants to be disliked now. Everyone wants to sort of play. I'm playing the part of the bad guy, but I secretly want you all to approve of me and compliment me and give me a good review.
That is, man, I'm
Wow.
so appreciative of those gems. Nick, what are we on time? Do we have time for like 1 or 2 more questions?
One or two at the most. So I've got a very restless 7-year-old who's wondering when the hell this is going to end.
Oh,
so
we got the baby, and
I want to know about the supplement line. How did you come about it?
Yes.
Like I
that's his lane.
That's his shit.
that's because I like a good supplement. So
Yeah.
I've been looking at your stuff. I ain't ready to buy yet, but
okay.
talk to me. I'm ready because I want to buy. My pockets brewing.
You had me interested until you said you're not ready to buy.
Right. Right. He built it up so perfectly. It was like, actually, my dollars aren't there yet, but
no, I want you guys. I just want to know more information because you have so much.
Yeah. So look, it's like I said, I've had a passion for fitness and nutrition for as long as I can remember. I've been sort of actively learning it, studying it, practicing it for since I was a teenager. And when I'd always wanted to start a supplement brand and start a supplement company, but I was until COVID, that was when I've actually had the time to really sit down and delve into it and do all my due diligence and get all my ducks in a row and make it happen. So that was that will be the benefit. I'm one of those people that I try to find the positive in every situation. So with COVID and lockdown and everything, that was when I said, all right, now I've got the time, let's do this, and settled on Legacy Sports Nutrition, because I thought it was a good brand that had a sort of universal appeal, without being too sort of subjective for any one kind of person. And the thing with supplements is that what I've noticed is that whatever is common and popular in like bodybuilding and the sort of hardcore fitness guys, is going to be on the shelves in Walmart in about 10 years. Whatever. So like I remember, buying creatine and stuff and people being like, what's that? And now it's you can get it anywhere, right? And so the same can be said now of fat burners and test boosters. The thing I say our best sellers are the Test X9, the test booster.
Now, so you can tell.
Yes, LegacySubs.com.
I've been watching you for a minute, B. I've been watching it for a minute. I just want to speak to you first.
I'll tell you this: our two best sellers are Test X9 and Recovery PM. But Recovery PM, the sleep aid, is by far and away our most. It gets the strongest response from people. We have people that reach out and go, "Oh my God, like I've had trouble sleeping for years. I've never really been able to get a good night's sleep. This stuff is so amazing. Like I've been finally getting a good night's sleep." And the reason that, if you look on there, you'll see that there's the Ultimate Test Stack, and what that is
good price too.
Because a lot of people, so a lot of companies will sell you a test booster, right? And most of them are somewhat effective, but what I always thought was missing, which is why I incorporated into the Ultimate Test Stack, was that the majority of testosterone release occurs while you're asleep. So you're doing all this stuff to stimulate your testosterone production, right? But if you're someone who has trouble sleeping, or you're not getting adequate sleep, all of that work is going to waste, because those processes take place while you sleep. So I said, okay, let's put all the three things together. Let's take the test booster to help stimulate natural testosterone production. Let's take the T-Assist, which is to sort of regulate estrogen and to keep your liver function nice and clean, and then add the sleep aid, so that then, when you've put in the work, you've got, if you got your diet right and you're training and you're taking the Test X9 and the T-Assist, now you're getting a good night's sleep. So all that stuff can actually go to work while you're asleep.
I think you have convinced Sir Wilkins to make his purchase shortly.
How's the pre-workout though? I like a good pre-workout.
Yeah, high performance
He said high
pre-workout.
performance. He didn't say performance. He said high
Yeah,
performance.
spell
Legacy.
HYPER, high performance.
High performance.
All right, last question. And it actually piggybacks to the name Legacy. What do you want people to remember you by?
Yeah,
Bars.
So I certainly take pride in the fact that that I've been able to be largely responsible for restoring the NWA title as a as a viable the lineal heavyweight championship of the world. I think that's important. Because I think it's important that we remember, the history of the business. I think it's important that, in boxing, that it's there are sort of multiple belts, but Tyson Fury is the lineal heavyweight champ, right? Because it's like he's the guy who's beaten all the other guys, and nobody's beaten him. And it's sort of like I look at the NWA championship as the lineal heavyweight championship. All the other belts, sort of over time spawned from the NWA belt. I would say that, and hopefully someone who brought some class and some insight to the business, and what I like to be sort of considered as, especially in the the current climate, is someone who offers something different. Like a unique style and approach that stands out for compared to a lot of the stuff that's kind of common fare today.
Well, then I think that is the best way to end this off. Let everyone know your social media. Also plug your legacy. So let everyone know how to find you in any upcoming, once again, shows or matches that you have coming up.
Well, you can watch the Crockett Cup. You can watch the pay-per-view live this weekend. It's not a pay-per-view actually. It's just part of the NWA All Access package, which is just $4.99. It's $4.99 a month on Fight TV, but you can just so you can get all the shows and all the pay-per-views for just $4.99.
And the $4.99.
It's on Fight. That's on Fight TV. So go to Fight TV/channel/NWA. If you want to see me stretch Matt Cardona so bad his ancestors feel it this Sunday. And then I'm on Twitter at real Nick Aldis, on Instagram at Nick Aldis. I'm verified on both, so look for the little blue check. And legacysups.com, LEGACYSUPPS.com. And here, I'll give you this. You can get 20% off if you sign up for emails, and we only send emails with other discount codes or with new products. We don't bombard you with spam emails out the ass all the time. We're only gonna email you with other offers and other deals or new products or something new we're doing.
You can get a
t-shirt. Sign up for emails and instantly get 20% off your first order. So now, listen, Wilkins, you've got no excuse.
I'm looking at him too, like, you better buy now.
I will buy. I just want a t-shirt. I like t-shirts.
Oh Lord. Like well, y'all can talk about that separately. Please, but please. Nick Aldis, thank you so much.
Yo, Nick,
for taking the time out. Please tell the little one we appreciate his patience. And hopefully we'll be able to touch bases again. We'll definitely WrestleK weekend again.
Oh yes.
Would be pretty dope to do it. Do another round of just a short interview. But
are you guys going to Dallas?
Yes. You're gonna be in Dallas?
We're gonna be at WrestleCon.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll see you there. We'll see you there.
We're gonna try to come Friday morning.
Okay, Mickey and I will be at WrestleCon with the Legacy Subs table. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna buy it in person.
All right. So we're gonna come and
right.
we're gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure he purchases what he needs to there in person. So we'll come and check you guys out. Anyone going to Dallas for WrestleMania weekend? Nick Aldis and Mickey James will be at WrestleCon, so make sure to come out. But we'll be there. So we'll definitely pop out Friday morning because that'll probably be the only free day. Because then he leaves Saturday. And then I'm there through the weekend. But once again, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us.
All right, guys.
Thank you. You are an inspiration.
Yes.
I have to wrestle in August, so I'll be watching your matches.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have to wrestle in August.
But I dread to ask what's going on there.
I've been training. I have to. It's gonna be a short match. I know my limitations in life.
Mind you, but mind you,
Let's think to the audience here, guys.
exactly. Solid 5 minutes.
But then he wants to do a frog splash.
I can
Oh,
listen. Listen.
See,
my teacher is Amazing Red. He's gonna make
nice.
sure.
I love Red.
See? You see?
Everyone loves
He
Red,
even
bro.
told me about my drop kick is getting there. And Red is very honest, so he'll tell me if it's shitty.
Okay.
But so my drop kick is getting there. We'll do 3 spots and we're out of here.
Okay.
Anyway,
5 minutes.
He'll talk more to you in
Yes.
person, but thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest
Five
of your
minutes,
day.
5 minutes, including your 3-minute entrance.
Yeah, the 3-minute entrance.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are right.
Yeah.
You are right.
I'm glad you know him without knowing him, because that's exactly
But-
how that would go down.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you for coming
All
on.
right,
And
guys.
honestly, you're an asset to this business.
Yes, you
Absolutely.
are.
Like you really are.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Set the bar really,
Yes,
really high, and
yes.
really showing everyone, whether young, old, no matter what it is to be a professional in this business. So no, we do appreciate you
Yes.
taking the time out
Wow.
today.
I
All right,
appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Gonna cut. You hung up like he was on the phone.
Yeah, bye.
And he hung up like he was on the phone.
Oh, okay.
That was hilarious. But those that are still joining us, we definitely just had an amazing. We low key turned out what was supposed to be half-hour interview into a whole hour. So we really do appreciate Nick Aldis taking the time out to talking and chatting with us. It was really, really dope to have him on. But all right, we do have some time left.
Do we?
Yeah, we got a little bit of time to talk about this week in wrestling. We got some hits, we got some bumps, we got some losses. So to start on a somber note,
Oh
the
my
wrestling
gosh.
community, as you can
RP
see,
to Scott Hall.
I kind of gave a homage to
Mama
Scott
Razor.
Hall,
Mama Razor.
to Razor. Yo, it is so. Did I tell y'all how I broke kayfabe for my boss and my one of the guys that works at my job? So, and it literally was like last week. Last week we were talking about, because we end up talking about mad different stuff at work. So my boss comes in and we're just all chatting or whatever the case might be. And we always end up finding a way to talk about wrestling, because everyone at the store knows I love wrestling. So we started talking about wrestling, and then they were mentioning Razor Ramon. And you know how they was like, oh, he was larger than life. He, loved the business. And they loved him. And I looked at them and I said, oh, okay, I'm listening. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, but y'all know he wasn't Spanish, right? They looked at me like, bitch, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So I got my boss, who's a white guy, and then the other guy, my other coworker, he's a Spanish guy. And I look at them, I was like, y'all know he wasn't Spanish, right? And they were like, what? So then what was he? I said, he was white. He was he's not from out of the country. They were so heartbroken that I had broke kayfabe for them, and I felt so bad after the fact. But it was just so random that we spoke about it, and then unfortunately a week later, he ends up
But my
passing.
thing is this
So
way.
it was
Okay.
wild.
Okay. Just like, do you really think that, talk to Nick Aldis, a professional wrestler, been doing it forever? I really think that we took wrestling too seriously, because Razor
Well,
Ramon,
we don't know better.
yeah, but Razor Ramon got away with for being a cultural appropriation. Yokozuna, same exact thing. Now, if you do that, oh, blah blah blah, you can't be doing that. Gotta get a person who is that culture. But then again, we said this last week though. Aren't you an actor though? If I'm a director, I give you a role and you can play this role, yo, why not?
I think people have gotten into the instances of it being whatever your character, no one can have a gimmick anymore, in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the
Talking about
unfortunate. No, but okay, we can talk about that too. That's just the unfortunate kind of realm in wrestling time that we're in, is that no one can have a gimmick, and if you have a gimmick, it has to be politically correct
Yeah, it
for
has to
you.
be.
And I think that kind of that's the missing essence at times of enjoying wrestling at this point, because it's okay, you can't have a white dude that raps.
Yeah.
Now,
Or
but when
you
but
can't have
when-
a black guy
but
who's
when-
angry.
okay, that too, or smart.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
And we
But
gotta
I
play into
just-
those stereotypes though.
but
for
yeah.
example, Biggie, right? You know, yo, Biggie, you know,
speedy
we saying
recovery.
you speed recovery, healing energy. I'm saying positivity, man. Yo, don't
Yeah,
believe
'cause
what the
that
doctor
was-
telling me that the career could be over. You believe in God,
Listen,
King.
if
Understand that God is in
fucking
control.
Daniel Bryan,
These white boys could come out of
Kurt
retirement.
Angle,
Christian,
nigga, what?
come on. William Regal could be wrestling broken neck for years, dogs. But yeah, but what?
No. I was just looking at the Weather Channel.
Well, nevertheless, though, it's just like y'all didn't really embrace Big E. Some of y'all didn't, because y'all was so stuck to these stereotypes that the Palm people set for us. Because yo, is you don't let people be people. That's even beyond wrestling. Because they said that you're a black guy like who like kinky boots and stuff like that. Oh, you're not black enough. What you mean I'm not black enough? Like, that's still my experience.
I'm
like,
cultured.
Yeah, I'm cultured.
Thank you.
Meaning that I had like, yo, I get the kinky boots because it's fire, but I'll slap the shit out of you, listen to my trap music on the way there. It's called being diverse.
But I think fans like what they like.
Was it all black people?
Talking about black people, the black
We're
people in the
talking black
building.
people.
I think one of the problems is that so I had posted online about Biggie not the reason why his reign was cut short was because people didn't support it.
What
now,
do you mean? Yes, they
hold
did.
on, hold on. I did some research because I like being proven wrong.
Okay.
So supposedly he was supposed to go against Cena at WrestleMania. That was the original plan.
What?
Cena?
I would have shitted my
Cena?
pants.
Yes.
The promos?
That was the one of the plans for Biggie. Now this is rumors, whatever, but that was one of the plans. That was one of the plans for it. Now the problem is that hold on.
Wait.
What are they looking for? What criteria were they looking for?
No, I'm gonna get to that.
Hold on.
So there's a toy that's out of him on a ATV.
The quad, yeah, basically, yeah.
He's on that and he has a belt on. They were supposed to release that toy, but the toy was never released because they took the championship belt off of him. So that's 2. Number 3 is his t-shirt wasn't selling. That's a huge thing for WWE.
Yeah, when your merch don't move.
If your merch is not moving, and people will argue, well, Bray Wyatt had number 1, blah, blah, blah. When you think about it, Bray was always in the title picture.
Yeah.
Bray was everywhere. It's just that
he was difficult to work with.
Supposedly. I don't want to put that on anybody.
According to what they said.
Supposedly he was. So now when I go back to Big E, I was like, yo, people weren't supporting him. And I keep saying that over and over again. If RK Bros t-shirts are selling more than you and you're a champion, that's an issue. If house shows are not selling and you're the main event, that's an issue. I love Big E. I fucking think he's a perfect champion. Perfect baby face. Perfect, yeah. But people didn't fuck with it. And I keep saying this over and over again, but nobody wants to listen when I say this shit. But I saw it. There's things I read about it. It was like, yo, his shirt wasn't selling. People was like, well, he didn't have a shirt. They didn't promote it. Nigga, he wore the shirt.
Definitely wore the shirt.
Numerous times.
All the time. Before
he became champion, like, well, he needed a second shirt. No. If his first shirt is not selling, they ain't giving him a second shirt.
Look at Roman.
Now, I'm gonna say something else. So people's like, oh, they keep putting him back to New Day. New Day sells merch.
Sells, yeah.
Out the ass.
They do, yeah.
And nobody is understanding that.
And they sell merch out the ass when they are as
a trio.
Yeah.
So, because people don't want to let them be individuals. What? And the thing about people is like, well, Biggie, it's because he's black. And I was like, yo, that may play a factor, small factor. I will not deny that. Microaggressions with palm color people, cauliflower motherfuckers is an issue. But I always give an example of Bobby Lashley. Within the past year, he's been a 2-time champ.
Because the Hurt Business merch.
Hurt Business merch moves. The people online.
Well, people, let me tell y'all, when
people
they
pop
opened,
for him.
When they opened WrestleMania last year, after the fucking rain delay, the pop Bobby Lashley got, I was surprised.
But the thing about it is,
and then when he won and they popped again,
so
I was surprised. I was like,
goes
whoa.
with what Vince says. I do listen to the audience.
Exactly.
Hold on.
No, hold on. I want to go off of that real quickly because I want you to talk more about it. He said it in the thing.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, "Yo, they have a team. Like I'm talking about advanced analytics.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, they try to really put Drew McIntyre stuff down. I like Drew.
Yeah.
Dry,
but where's Drew right now?
Dry.
Yeah.
Is Drew in the title picture?
No.
And he hasn't been in the title picture for a while.
Yeah.
Now, you can say what you want to say about Roman and Cena. Oh, they're stuffing it down our throats, stuffing it down our throats. Roman sells.
Yeah.
People who don't watch wrestling on a consistent basis fucks with Roman.
Yeah, they do,
When Cena was around, his merch sold.
Yo, I legit the other day, it's so funny you bring up Cena. I legit the other day was like, yo, we need another summer of Cena.
Because
that shit was dope. And it wasn't even just because like it led up to the SummerSlam match, but it was the fact that John Cena was doing house shows.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like he wasn't just doing live TV. Like my man literally had a tour and dates for non-televised and televised shows.
But it
and
makes sense what Vince says though, because I'm a publicly traded company. If y'all got not speaking with your pockets, I cannot push this person. For example, the whole Roman merch, right? When he came back, that shirt sold out. So the fact that shirt sold out, okay, I can move on to the next shirt idea. If the first shirt is not moving, I cannot promote the second one.
Now I will say though, when you talk about merch, because it's a two-sided thing. So not only does it have to move, but also it has to visually entice you.
Nigga,
like
the shirt just had words on it. Head of the table.
Yeah,
that's all it said, nigga. That shit was the simplest shirt
Did it have
ever.
the little like
no,
punch?
it had nothing.
No. Well, I don't really care for that. So I wasn't gonna buy that. But I bring it back to like going all the way back, and even though I'm gonna use Patty Pat as an example, when Velveteen Dream was hot, and I never forget it. It was Takeover. Was it War Games when I went? Yeah. 2019 Survivor Series weekend. I went to Chicago, went to War Games. Literally, I wanted to wear a Velveteen Dream shirt. Literally. And it was the same fucking big ass V with Velveteen Dream on the top of it. And I was just like, we couldn't get this nigga nothing else. Like, what we gonna do with this?
So
I
have the list.
Of what?
Top 10 merchandise sellers in WWE shop.
Oh. I just bought some shirts too.
Number 1, Stone Cold.
Okay. Yeah.
That nigga has been out of wrestling for how long?
I just bought Mikey. When I did the order, I got him a what shirt? Because he was like, yo, I've always wanted that shirt. And I was like, okay.
John Cena, number 2.
Jonathan Cena.
Number 3, Alexa Bliss, because these niggas is pervs.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Number 4, NWO.
Well, a lot of kids actually like her merch. I remember
half of them are kids.
I would say
the other half are perverts.
Because Matthew has said he had FaceTime me with the babies, and he said, "Oh, tell Auntie who you like," and she said Alexa Bliss, and I was like, "That's random as fuck," but okay.
Because they're like the same height.
And then no, but it was just I guess the character and it appealed to kids. Yeah, appealed to kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 4, NWO.
Yeah. To this
Number
day.
5. Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Now,
it gets a little sketchy.
Hold on. The top 5 only has 2 people on the current roster who are active.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, the bottom 5, The Rock, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso.
Wait, they aren't together? Like Usos aren't like
they're separate people. They get separate checks.
Yeah, nah, fuck that. Because come on.
They get separate check. And I think their check is low-key part of the Bloodline shirt too.
Yeah.
So they're taking off of that.
Yeah.
So that was number 7 and 8. Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso respectively. Number 9, Ultimate Warrior.
Are you kidding me?
And number 10, to round out the top 10, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. Last year, I always been wanting the Latino Heat shirt forever and a day. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to WrestleMania in Tampa. I got to have shirts. So, because that's the only time I really buy merch is when I go to WrestleMania, when it's WrestleMania week. And that was the time I bought the Latino Heat shirt. And I was like, okay, cool. But I'm not surprised by that one because that's like a must have. You got to have that one.
Makes sense.
You got to have an Austin shirt. You got to have a Rock shirt.
They do listen to but then again, what about the exception for Zack Ryder or like Rusev? I'll be honest with you. Hear me out.
That's elective though.
I'll be honest with you.
That Happy Rusev Day probably
Right?
shirt
You
sold.
want the rest of the 5?
What 5?
Past Eddie Guerrero? I got the list for that
Oh yeah. Hold on.
one. Mick Foley.
Yeah, because I have a Mick Foley shirt. I have a Cactus
Million
Jack
Dollar
shirt.
Man.
Uh-huh.
Undertaker.
Yeah.
Randy Savage.
Yep.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre.
How?
Shawn Michaels.
How is he?
Kane.
Yeah.
And she's money. Sasha Banks and
Yeah.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the top products. This shit's expensive. I don't know how this shit get so much.
Shout out to WWE Shop for going into Klarna though, because you can pay that shit off in 4 installments.
Stone Cold
Thank
Steve
you,
Austin
Jesus.
Legacy Championship belt.
The Smoking Skull.
Yes,
that's the fire belt though.
it's one of the top items sold. Alexa Bliss, the plush doll, is one of the highest items
Out
sold.
here saying the methamphetamine doll, but okay, continue.
The replica Stone Cold Steve Austin Championship belt is top sold. WWE champ spinner replica title belt.
Yeah,
top
anyone
sold.
that
like
that-
all this stuff is literally
that's like $300-400, except for that plush doll.
the top 5 is all belts for the most part.
Yeah.
Then the t-shirts, top selling t-shirts is John Cena Earned a Day, the Bloodline shirt. That shit is hard.
Yeah.
Can't even deny that. The We the Ones, the United States Spinner Championship replica belt.
Yeah.
These are all championship belts. Yeah, mostly
Yeah,
championship belts.
niggas got money. But guys, what are we gonna say?
Again, damn, I forgot. Basically, I was to say that's just like, yo, at the end of the day, though, they do listen, but not in the way that y'all think.
Yeah, it's not. It's
cool.
listening. I think it's more subjective.
Right, cool though. But then again, no. My point was, what about Rusev and Zack Ryder? Like at the end of the day, those are 2 examples where they was getting pushed. Their merch was getting sold, but yet they still didn't get pushed.
I definitely don't think Zack Ryder's merch was moving anything. I can say that Happy Rusev Day shit, which was a complete accident, that everybody had that shirt.
No.
But Zack Ryder's merch, I definitely have never seen anyone with a Zack Ryder
like,
shirt.
Yo, his song was Hosky was like on top charting.
That's a song. I'm talking about merch.
I think his
Do you question?
Woo.
Do you have a Zack Ryder shirt?
No.
Okay, then that answers that. If somebody and everybody that watches and follows the podcast, he definitely loves him some Zack Ryder. But in terms of, that's why I asked that question. Do you have that shirt? The answer's no. So then that plays a part.
It plays a huge factor, but it goes back to what I'm saying. And everybody kept complaining that Big E was too happy. His entire run, and they're like, I don't like it. And I don't know what he could have done different, to be honest.
It was a common, to be honest, everyone knows if Roman didn't have fucking COVID, that wouldn't have went down the way that it did.
Then again, I see it this way.
And that's just what it is.
Let's be honest. Majority of people are not happy
with themselves.
Yes.
Oh,
because
okay,
no. Real talk.
I'm saying okay.
No, real talk, because
agreeing with you.
How many times that people had told me that I'm too positive? How many times people say, "Oh, you can't be this positive. Not everything gonna be rainbows and butterflies and stuff." I'm like, "You 100% right though," but I'm not gonna let that dictate my whole attitude.
But that's once again, it's more as a personal.
So yes. So think about it. People don't like happy people. People like people who are flawed. Think about it.
Well,
Conor McGregor, right? To this day, people still love him. Floyd, people still love him. Hogan, people still love him. Even more now.
Well, people that love him because of the era they were growing up in. That was their idol.
Right. And on top of that, on top of that, look at Jericho, disrespecting the fans. Yeah, Roman. Disrespecting. Yeah, you're right, Roman. So, at the end of the day, even MJF, disrespecting people still be dick riding him. So at the end of the day, people don't like good people. Like, you cannot be too good in this world. And we preached that many episodes ago. My brother said it. Y'all don't like good people at all.
Or they don't know what good people look like.
Well, they don't want to. The Attitude Era ruined that.
Oh, because everybody was mad.
Yeah,
there was nobody that was happy in that shit. Everybody was pissed about something.
Because there was a shift that happened in the Hogan era. And I don't know when it happened, but people were tired of Hogan.
Yeah.
Because Hogan was
and that essentially was probably that's what led up to the heel turn.
The heel turn, and then they wanted more realistic type of feel because the fans were getting older. Mm-hmm. But And
But okay.
that was a great interview with Nick.
Damn, we
Fabulous.
AEW. Damn.
Well, we can real quick. We got like 3-4 minutes, so we can talk about AEW crowning a new
Finally.
Yeah, a year in the making. Their new women's champion, Thunder
A lot
Rosa,
of
who
color.
we've also had interviewed. So make sure to go back into the archives for that.
That would be this Christian below.
But what were your thoughts this week? Well, between people hyping themselves up for Cody to appear, and because it was funny, because it was true, because it was just like no one ever said anything.
Ever said that. They said, yo, even
they niggas assumed they was like, oh, they at Jacksonville, so they gonna really give it to them.
I went in a group, right? I went in a group and someone said, that, oh, these woke culture niggas said that Cody was coming.
That's not what they said, because I actually
said that.
You know what's funny? I rarely, so any two, like I always catch Jim Cornette, of course. Everybody knows I love him. And then now, more than anything, I watch the Disco and
People 100.
Yeah, I'll listen to their clips because they obnoxious as fuck, low key. But for the first time, I caught the what culture clip of them talking about it being rumored, and I was like, when I saw the same post, I was like, they never said that. They never said that.
And I showed the clip in it. The same author who complained about it didn't say nothing.
It's so funny you mentioned that. Well, that was the only clip I saw.
Because Meltzer said something. And was like, oh, maybe like he's gonna come because Meltzer kept saying it.
But he said that, yo, if you don't show up, that means I had that. If you don't show up tonight, which he's saying that means that the contract is still going on. But it's a possibility.
The contract is still going on, but also what? So the rumor is they're saving it for Mania.
As they should. Like at the end of the day, this is the stupendous 2-night fucking WrestleMania. Why would I pull my wildest card on a random Monday Night Raw in where the fuck was they at? Wherever the fuck they was at this. Oh, in Jacksonville.
And the thing about Cody, he does.
And then next week they're in Chicago.
Cody Loki does have crossover appeal though, because you forget he's on the big
show.
The big show, and I think he had his own little
show.
His own little show, but you never know. You never know.
Now I think the way to go about it is to let Seth even fucking open one of the nights and be like, I'm still here. Anybody that want it, come get it, and then have whatever music. Because I low-key really want.
But I don't think Seth is the right person.
I actually do,
because I don't want Seth to lose. Because supposedly he's supposed to be in another title feud with Roman.
But if the specifics, well, if it's Roman, oh well, then Roman. Then it goes back. I don't know what, because I didn't watch the end of SmackDown, but I saw somebody post and it was just like, from whatever happened, they were like, oh, then Brock's. I'm still 50-50, but I think Brock's gonna win though.
Because
I don't know why.
I mean,
it's weird.
I mean,
but that's the point though. You don't want
to. Seth can still take the L because it goes back to even.
AJ took the L at WrestleMania, and then AJ had a great program. All about listen.
See, but L's don't always.
But then what do you do with Cody then? What? Because technically Cody should be going for the title then.
Right, and that's what they were saying. There was like, if he signs, then the first thing he's gonna get is a tremendous push to the title. So him beating Seth is just that one step into the multiple steps of him getting to that title shot. But I think presentation wise, Seth is the perfect person. Anyone else, it wouldn't have made sense. Like, who else you would have rather?
Owens?
I think Kevin and Austin was dope though. So
no, I'm talking about like for later on.
Oh,
bring him out the Monday after WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens.
Oh, but then Kevin's gonna take 2 L's.
Kevin can take L. Don't matter.
Well, so can Seth.
Nah, Seth can't take.
Seth can take an L.
Like, imagine, because Kevin was
Kevin was the one
who put Cody on to the Indies, and then Cody comes back.
Yeah.
But then that's the job of commentary and people pushing that narrative.
Exactly, but the story.
Not everybody will know that.
It should be on SmackDown then, because McAfee will do it.
Right. So, well, there goes that. But real quick, AEW, you had the Hardys debut in the tag match against Private Party. You had Scorpio Sky retain from Warlow. Which I didn't. Looking at that match, for me. He didn't need to win that ladder match for all that shit to go down. Loki. Warlord. He didn't need to win the brass ring shit, the Sonic ring,
No,
in
he
order to
didn't.
get to Scorpio Sky, in order for MJF to screw him.
Yes,
And now they're gonna.
because like he had to get his liberation freedom. He had to feel like
Yeah, he had to
listen,
feel important.
you have to think about it, man.
Mhm.
Him losing it, he'd be like, MJF said that I knew you couldn't do it. You ain't shit. The fact he winning is on some like I got leverage.
But
I did this on my own.
But the thing though is with World, they push, they pick and choose when they want to push people's win-loss thing or their rankings thing. Warlow hadn't lost. He only lost one match. He could have still. He didn't need. My point was he didn't need the ladder match to if he wanted to challenge for the TNT title to get that.
But look at
What
his
I'm saying.
value of his opponents that he fought compared to the Scorpio Sky. You have to understand it's all about the value of opponent. If you want to look at it this way, yes. But at the end of the day, even though he lost after, it's still like a good way to set a new superstar. Like, yo, he won the brass ring Runko. You understand? That's like the Royal Rumble. You may not win at WrestleMania though, but that's still a notch on your belt, dogs.
I just didn't think it was a necessity.
It's just like
to set it up.
It's just like an individual player, right? Like Giannis.
No, I get what you're saying. I understand because we don't have time. I get what you're saying, but just I'm saying for Janelle, I didn't in order to because essentially you're setting up MJF and Warlow. For me, you didn't need to do all the he didn't need someone else could have won that brass ring thing to help them do whatever they're gonna do. And he could have still challenged for that.
No,
didn't matter.
So this is quickly because I know we have to go. The last thing I want to say is that because the brass ring didn't mean anything. They never did anything with anybody post brass ring.
Yeah.
This one, they wanted to solidify it as something great because now you can challenge somebody.
Yeah.
That's what it. That's
well,
what.
No, Scorpio won the first one.
I know. He won the first one, but what happened after?
Then he challenged. I think it was Darby, and then he lost.
Yeah, but he was not in any real storyline.
Exactly.
This shows the more importance. It's more important to what it does. And the thing about it, Warlow would have won if MJF didn't do what he did.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
All right, but other than that, Thunder Rosa won. So she's the new AEW World Champion. So that's pretty dope. I'm interested in seeing how that goes. Jade did a promo, still claiming that bitch show needs someone that I don't know what they're gonna. I don't know how many people they're gonna feed to her.
Just do an open challenge.
They're gonna continue to do that, but like, she done beat what? She's what 30 and what? Whatever the hell.
Needs to get up to 50.
She done
just do what they did to Goldberg. Add numbers on that.
That's
Just do what they did to Goldberg. I think that's perfectly fine.
Really?
Just add numbers to the shit.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you to Nick Aldis. I preferred to have the interview than talk about wrestling because I think it was very informative and very intriguing into like his world and his perception. So once again, and we're gonna check him out at WrestleCon in Dallas.
Go buy all this shit.
And buy all no, make sure you buy. I'm throwing some money for you. We're gonna support Nick Aldis in the cause. So once again, make sure to start RSVPing. If you're going to be here in the Tri-State area, make sure to start RSVPing for WrestleMania at Legends Night 1 and Night 2. And then if you're going to be in Dallas, highly recommend, we'll be at, of course, Wale Mania. We'll be at For the Culture Friday. That's a 3:00 show. And then, Saturday they leave. But then Saturday, if you're going to WrestleMania, before WrestleMania, they're having NXT TakeOver in Dallas at the American Airlines Arena at noon on Saturday, and then once again both nights. Other than that, trying to think of some other things to sign off at, but if not, thank you to those that stayed and asked questions during the interview. We appreciate that. Anytime we have an interview, make sure to hop on and ask a question because we have no problem asking on your behalf. As always, I'm Janelle from HR here with Sir Wilkins and Mr. Black. #Black Excellence. #We are.
Got the hands in motion. If you go with rolling, no need to focus. Traveling states and over oceans. You gotta wait till your coast chosen. Trying to have lines outside the show like Harry Potter releases at Barnes & Noble.